Hi. Okay, so I got a new camera that I'm using and I'm just kind of testing it out right now. And I've always wanted to do kind of like a little book review thing, so I thought this would be a perfect opportunity for me to get screen time because I never like to be in front of the camera, to practice with my new camera and to do a little book review. So I thought it would be perfect. So I have a few books that I've read over the last few years that I thought would be pretty fun to go over. These aren't necessarily all or even my favorite of the books, but I thought it would be fun because it is what I have here and I have appreciated them. So the first one I will say is The Awakening by Kate Chopin. So I actually listened to this one audiobook style. I don't normally do that, but I did have a big trip to take. So I listened to it and I love it. I remember reading Kate Chopin in high school and thinking that she was so relatable and genius in how she, I don't know, talked about the woman experience and everything. So The Awakening was very good for me. It was fun, it was relaxing, but also very suspenseful in the fact that I had no clue how it was going to end. So it was just a little love story that was a period piece that kind of just shows, I don't know, this woman's point of view of her relationship. So I thought it was very insightful. It was fun. Kate Chopin is a brilliant writer, so that was The Awakening. I definitely recommend that. Then the other one I wanted to recommend was Let's Get Lost. Now this one was a recommendation from my best friend. She loved it. So I read it. It was fun. It was fun. I definitely would say that it was more of a high school summer romance type of feel. It had a lot of like stereotypical tropes of a girl trying to find herself and making friends with the awkward boy and them getting along, and but story-wise it was really nice. So it follows one main character who has interactions with 5 different strangers, and it's definitely a coming to age. So I would think that if you like any John Green books or anything that's very much in that teenager realm of things, then Let's Get Lost is definitely a good recommendation. Like I said, it was just lighthearted, fun summer reading. Okay. This one is Such a Fun Age. So this book was recommended to me by my sister, and I went into it blind. I didn't know what it would be about, and wow, it was so good. It was so good. So this book is about a young woman who isn't quite sure about how she wants to live her life and what her future holds. So she's just kind of in this state of being, I think she was like 19 or 20, and you know, she was done with school and wasn't going to college and working, but not quite sure how she wanted to proceed. She's a young black female and she is working for a white family, and this book covers so many hard topics, like race fetishism and just more hidden bias and prejudice that we don't think about on a day-to-day scale. So it's basically how she was dealing with that with the family, and then not knowing what she wanted to do as an individual as well. I thought it was a great book, very, very well written. The story was fun. It was just a good story. Definitely talking about her life experiences and such, but I loved how the more serious themes were brought up and talked about in such a casual, lighthearted, and also very relevant way. I thought it was done very, very well. So this is Such a Fun Age. I definitely recommend this. I really think that it's good to think about your own life and to kind of think, oh, like these very specific tiny things that I didn't think were an issue might actually be an issue. So very good book. I would definitely recommend that. One of my favorite books of all time is The Road. I read that earlier this year and it blew me away. So The Road is about, it's post-apocalyptic, and the apocalypse itself is very vague. We don't know necessarily what happened, but we know that something happens. It's about a father and his son, and they are trying to live and survive. Now, my biggest takeaway of this was the juxtaposition between the youth of his son and then the experience and like cynicism of the father. So those two things clashed a lot, and I love that they were living for each other and keeping each other alive at the same time. So I love a ton of internal conflict type of books, things that make you really think about the characters' motivations. And this book, I mean, these are the two main characters, the father, the son, and that's it. It's brilliant. I absolutely loved it. This author is the same one who wrote, what is it? No Country for Old Men. Is that I believe that's the title of it. I might have gotten that wrong. I haven't read that yet, but I hear that that's one of his other super famous ones. So that's on my list. Anyway, so yeah, this one is absolutely had me thinking for days and days and days afterward. It was really emotional. Also, the writing style was really cool. I really appreciated that. So it didn't have direct dialogue, no quotes or anything. It just is one full-on story. It also didn't have any chapters to stop and interrupt. So no interruptions, just a complete, this is the story. And I really liked that. I thought that was really neat. So if you want one that's a little spooky, not scary, but just a little spooky, and definitely will get you thinking about relationships and survival and relationships during survival, The Road is definitely a must read for that. And then the last one I'm going to talk about tonight, I actually finished it last night. I've stayed up like 2 nights in a row trying to read this and finish it. It's so good. So this is Mystic River. And this is a whodunit mystery classic. So first of all, the character development in this book is outstanding. I was blown away by it. All of the characters were so fleshed out, and they're just amazing. So I felt like I connected with every single person in this book, every single person. So it's okay, my battery died, but that was perfect because the whole point of this video is to test out this camera. So I was actually kind of glad that happened. So I gotta learn how to switch out the batteries. Anyway, so I was talking about Mystic River. So the characters were absolutely incredible. So it starts out, there's 3 main characters who grow up together. And while they were kids playing in the street, some very bad guys came up and tried to abduct them, and they only took one. The kid survived, and he came back, and then the group was never the same because of that. So these 3 men, the boys, they grew up into men, and they still lived in the same town and everything. And they wind up being all a different part of a crime. So one is the lead detective, one is the main suspect, one is the father of the victim. And they are all so flawed, but also so justified, every single one of them. And then of course their wives and their families and their way of thinking, and then how they recall the incident from whenever they were kids, and how that developed their characters in 3 very different ways. So I thought it was one of the best books that I've ever read. The writing is absolutely beautiful too. I was very impressed by how descriptive and like how much it captured me. I was never bored in this book at all. So I would definitely say this is a 10 out of 10 book, and I am very much looking forward to reading his other, I don't want to mispronounce his name, but Dennis here, his other books. I know that he also wrote Shutter Island. And then his other books are Prayers for Rain, Gone Baby Gone, Sacred, Darkness Take My Hand, and A Drink Before the War. So I think I'm gonna check out a few of those too. I don't typically follow certain authors. I feel like I'm not loyal to specific authors, but I'm so impressed by this book. I am definitely gonna check out his other stuff. So I will say this one's a little bit spookier. It's just dark. I think it's a take on some harsh realities of, like I said, the crime that happened to them as children, and then the trauma and the PTSD that happens as they're grown up and how they interact with that and day to day. So it's definitely more dark, just to give that warning, but absolutely worth it. I think the genre is a psychological thriller, and I definitely would say that my psyche was thrilled. So 10 out of 10 on this one. So here's just a few books. I hope to do a little bit more of a book review. I don't know if anybody would be interested in, but I think it's fun to go back and to talk about the books that I like, and hopefully, if you like it, then maybe it inspires you to pick up the book. So and thanks for letting me test out my new camera. I'm pretty excited that I have this. So I hope everything is fine, and I'll see you later.